Hello YouTube, welcome to Fox Boss 9, and yes, it's the station wagon again. Today, I'm going to address an issue that my wife has been describing to me as a stumble. And she had an engine code that came up. The engine code stated that there was a misfire. Now, we have all new plugs and wires on this. And we also have a new cam sensor, cam position sensor, which takes place of the distributor in this case, really. It's a unique system that, you know, this engine originally did have a distributor, so what they did is basically put a hole in it, in the block that had a place for that to go. So Heidi's joined us to tell us exactly what's going on. So what happened and how did it start?
Actually, whenever it's warm out, the car is warm, and at an idle, it runs rough.
Is it always or just randomly?
When it's warm.
I'm saying though, every time,
outside,
every day, every single time.
Well, no, because it's not been warm every single day. It's only on warmer days above 40. Honestly, it starts missing whenever I'm stopped. It's not missing while I'm driving.
So although that could be fuel related, maybe, you know, a fuel pump pressure thing or something, she did get a code that said misfire. So what we're looking at is replacing this here. Now, obviously, very easy. But what I was going about prior is the cam position sensor. It's down here, and this block used to have a distributor that was, you know, here at some point years ago. But when they went into, you know, a coil pack and different electronics, they decided to get rid of the distributor, but the hole is still there. The hole is still provided for where the distributor is. So what they did is they put in a sensor in that same hole. A synchronizer. Yes, Heidi knows because she sells them. And all that does is realize where the cam's at and its relative position to the cylinders, and it synchronizes that to the firing of the vehicle. And these have a tendency to have a problem with that over a period of time. So if you have one of these engines in a Taurus and you're experiencing like a stutter or stutter is the best way to describe it. That's not a transmission shift issue. And it happens maybe in the higher RPMs or when you're really getting on it. It's because that cam synchronizer is wore out, the bushings wore out, and it's actually hitting the side and losing its signal and just sending erroneous signals. We replaced that, and that solved all of that problem. This car has got, first of all, just take a look at how nice of a shape it is underneath the hood. I mean, it's in very good condition. It's very clean. Everything works really well on this. We think the heater core needs to be flushed because it just doesn't get warm. Hence the reason I have the old cardboard laying in front of the radiator as much as possible to help out with temperature. Again, you guys seen I put a new thermostat in here. But anyways, we're going to change this coil pack. And this is not going to be some kind of in-depth, big, long video because it's pretty simple. I mean, it's literally just a few bolts that are mounting this to the valve cover and a couple of plugs, and that should do it. Now, ideally what I'd like to do is put some dielectric grease on this, but I'll have to hunt down to see if I still have some. Again, moving back into a home, we've got to get that stuff back in our repertoire for whenever we do repairs. But yeah, so far this engine and everything about the car has been pretty good. But we're just, this car's a short-term deal. We just picked it up to have it for a year or so, and yeah, I mean it's serving its purpose. It needed a few things, but So far, so good. And if you guys are looking for a good used vehicle, just look for a Ford Taurus. They were out for many, many, many years for the reason of them being reliable and America's favorite. And this does get relatively decent gas mileage for how big it is. So let me get to work here. So this is pretty basic, like I imagined. There's going to be one stud that holds down this, probably a resistor. This is probably some sort of resistor. And one of the coil mounts, and then there's two other bolts that hold down the coil mount. And you can see that's it. It just pops right off. I wonder if this has been replaced or if this is original. I don't see any markings. Now, the new one says Motorcraft on it, which I suggest. I like Motorcraft parts. We're going to go ahead and just transport all of these. Oh, they got a little dielectric already on them. That's good. Now, with almost all spark plugs, if you don't have a wrench to replace, the actual spark plug removal tool or whatever, just do a quarter twist to the left and the right, and then remove it. If not, you're most likely going to tear the boots. If not, so again, just a quarter of a turn either way, and then just kind of pull up as you're doing it, and they will come loose. Their whole build design is not to come loose, so you're forcing that. And in this case, I got those three kind of spaced in a way that I'm going to remember how they go back on. And then these three are determined by the wire loom. So again, we'll do a quarter turn on each. And I just pulled the plug off the back. It's just a squeeze. You just squeeze this and it comes right off. We'll do this outside one because it's easier to get to with my hands. And again, the wire loom's telling me what order to put these back on. If not, I would have marked them. Yeah, they all look pretty good. And then here's the coil again. I'm assuming that this is original, but I don't know. This marking makes me think it's not for some reason. C1312VC. Let's go ahead and set this back here. And now, here's the new one by Motorcraft. You can see it's got a nice epoxy in there. Could be this is the problem. Wouldn't that be nice? You can see down there they have little electrodes. I don't know if I'm going to have to put any more dielectric on there because these are pretty well covered. So the answer to that is no, I'm not. Okay, we came back a little bit quicker because the stud that the resistor is held on or connected to, although these bolt heads are 7mm, this stud shoulder bolt is 8mm, and then of course the large one that holds the resistor on here, again, I'm not sure, I'm assuming that's what this is. That is a 10mm, which you can kind of tell they look like all the battery bolts that you've ever seen. All right, so that's done. That's the only reason I came back kind of quick on this. Let's go ahead and put these things on my wrenches so I don't lose any bolts. I will plug this in, and the reason I'm plugging this in, well, I just want to make sure that I don't put the spark plug to where it's actually in the way of the plug. So we'll go ahead and get this lined up, push it on. And again, that whole twisting action that I was doing to take them off, you may want to do that a little bit just to make sure that it stays on there. All right, so we didn't use any of the dielectric grease, which is fine. And at this point, do you have your keys? I'm going to have Heidi start her car and make sure that what we did not cause another problem. Never stand in front of a car when it's getting ready to start, just in case. Well, Looks like we're in luck with that as far as that goes. So again, she'll use this for a couple of days and then give me some kind of feedback on what she's experiencing and see if any of this shows its ugly head again. But that is pretty much it for replacing the coil on this 3.0 V6. I think they call it the Vulcan, on a Ford Taurus, in this case a 2002. So we'll check you guys out later.